All right, guys, I'm here. Guys and girls, I got a couple of people in here already. Can't tell, I'm looking. 8 thumbs up before I get started. That's a pretty good average. I'm gonna wait till a couple more people get in here, and then we'll get started. We're talking about puppies today. We are talking about puppies. It's all gonna be about puppies today, and that's one of the most common things that I get asked questions about is puppies, because people oftentimes are confused. They get in over their head. They have questions. They have concerns. They're sometimes your expectations tend to be too high, and that's a big problem, right? In other words, you want to do the right thing. You want to get a puppy. Whether you rescue the puppy, we'll talk about the difference between rescue puppies and breeder puppies in a little while. We'll also talk about where to get dogs and where not to get dogs. But the key element here really is doing the right thing and understanding what you're getting into when you get a puppy, because a puppy's going to be with you for a long time if you're going to do the right thing, and that's really of such critical importance, is doing the right thing when you get your puppy. When you get that puppy, it's always easy to think, well, you know, I got the puppy, it's here, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. The key thing to think about is that you just signed a commitment for the next 10 to 15 years. That's it, right? That's what you have to think about. You don't want to think about, I got a puppy, the puppy is going to be fun, it's cute, I'm going to play with it, I'm going to do all these things with it. What I want you to really think about is this commitment, is this commitment that you're getting into. It's a commitment I thought about when I got Goofy. You know, I knew him before he was born. If you listen to my last podcast with Tasha, you know the whole story behind him, I mean, almost the whole story behind him. But you also know that I made a decision that I was going to have this dog for his entire life. So the day I get the dog, I realize that that dog will be with me until the day he dies. And that's just how I think about it, that there's no other options, right? I mean, I've never given a dog up. I've never given up on a dog, because that's just the way I work in my commitment. It's my background, it's the way I roll. But I want you to kind of wrap your head around that. So if you recently got a puppy and you have questions, if you have thoughts about getting a puppy or anything like that, this podcast is for you. We want to talk about everything. We want to talk about food. I mean, I'll take questions on any topic. It's an interactive chat here. So as I get a question, I will post it up on the screen, and then we will, I like this here, look at Igor, thank you, and thank you for being a member. For all of you guys who are members of my membership site, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so here's a question. Let's take this as our first question, because this is a really, it's a good question, but it's not a good situation. So how do I best help my puppy getting over being attacked by another dog? Puppy is now fearful and barking at other dogs. So first of all, for those of you who haven't had your puppy attacked yet, I'm going to tell you a couple things. One is, socializing your puppy at an early age is the most critical thing you will do for that dog. That dog should have all good experiences. The way to make sure those experiences are all good is by not allowing the dog to have a bad experience. Bad experiences entail things like people who have no knowledge of dogs, who are very uncomfortable with dogs, playing with the puppy, including children, and dogs that are not good with other dogs playing with your puppy. That is a disaster, right? So if your puppy got attacked by another dog, it's a scar that will be there forever. It's like child abuse. You might kind of smooth over it a little bit, but it's there. The imprint of it is there. You kind of failed the dog. So what you need to do now, because you need to right this wrong for sure, is you need to, one, make sure the dog has positive experiences. That means 0 dog parks, 0 meeting dogs willy-nilly. You will only let the dog meet dogs that are safe. You know they're safe because you know the owners. You know they're safe because you've seen the dogs play with other dogs. And you know they're safe because you're in control of the situation. That's the key. Okay, here, Arvid. Arvid, you're a member, I know that. So, and see how the question mark is down here on the bottom, right? Whoops, right there it starts with a question mark. That's what I want you to do, so I know you got a question and not just a comment. Like if you're saying like Kikini, you're saying hi from New York, Curry from South Africa, the highs, I love seeing it, means the world to me, but if it's a question mark, I know I'm going to get to it. And by the way, I may go over your question. I'm not intentionally ignoring anybody. There will probably be 100, 200 people in this chat in the next few minutes. I will not be able to get to everybody. I will do my very, very best. You say training with puppy 2 to 3 times daily and 10 to 15 minutes. Is that only obedience training or is it trick training included? That's any learning interaction, right? All learning with the dog is going to have to be limited because the dog can only handle so much. Now you can do part of it trick training, you can do part of it obedience training, you can do part of it, you know, anything, scent detection, agility, anything you want. Dogs, all animals I've read actually, learn in those 10 to 20 minute increments. So if you've got a super, super high drive, super intelligent dog, a border collie, a Malinois, something like that, you can kind of go a little bit longer. I'm saying 10 to 15 minutes for the average dog. Okay, PYK. How would I recommend helping a rough collie that enjoys yapping? Well, yapping is an expression. Young puppies are going to yap. They're going to bark, 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 bark. That's just what they're going to do. That's the way they communicate. You hear Maya, she was upstairs. She was barking at the door. That dogs do things, right? Dogs, puppies in particular, they bark, they nip, they do all these things. And to be happy with that dog, you have to accept that the dog is going to do certain things. You're not going to change it. You know, there's no on-off switch. You can't go, oh, I don't want you to yap, I'm going to push this switch. So any trainer who gives you these kind of tips of, hey, do this and do that, that's really not the way, the proper way, I should say, to interact with a dog. Understand, it's a dog. It's got its own definition of its life. You need to kind of work together to make that definition work with you. Okay, Carnation says, what's your definition of structure in dog training? Structure in dog training means the dog listens to me in every aspect of their life because I have the dog's best interest at heart, right? I feed the dog, I walk the dog, I care for the dog, I protect the dog. So the dog sees everything through my eyes. That is structure. The dog looks at me constantly, is looking for reassurance, is looking for praise, is looking for a direction. And when you have that kind of relationship with the dog, that doesn't build a needy dog, right? You're not looking for a dog that's always looking, oh my God, am I in trouble? No, you're looking for a dog that checks in with you like any good partner would do, like your friend would do. If you were out just hanging out, your friend would talk to you and look at you and interact with you. Your friend wouldn't blow you off. So that's a real important. Okay, look, we got people from Poland. Donald's here. Nice to see you, Donald. Again, if I don't see a question mark first, I'm not going to get it because there's tons of things going by. Like Jarek, you didn't put a question mark front, so I need you to just redo it because I'm only going to look for things with question marks to answer. Jessica says, my puppy is suddenly being cute. Oh, quite aggressive towards my mom and such. They can't touch his feet without him growling as not to be able to put the leash on. Can you help? Well, I don't know how old your puppy is, Jessica, but what you need to do is you need to get your puppy so properly socialized with these people. Now, I don't know what their interaction is, what their relationship is, what their history is with the puppy, but what you need to do is get them to interact positively with the dog. You might have them holding some treats, hand feeding the dog, going with you on a walk, doing a little training and playing with the dog, and don't go for the dog's feet if that's something the dog is neurotic or fearful about. Work into that. You need to make that behavior okay with you and the dog before anybody else can, right? And again, tell me when you ask these questions how old your puppies are, so I know. Okay, Jarek, I'm going to answer this question as an exception, but you guys need to put a question mark at the front of the question so that I know that it's a question. I just happen to see that one. What do you think about playing rough with puppies? Well, that's going to depend on 1, the breed of dog, 2, the temperament of the dog, and 3, your ability to maintain structure. So if you play rough with a puppy, the dog is going to grow up to want to play rough. As long as the dog knows bite inhibition, which my dogs learn early on, then the dog's not going to have an issue. The dog's going to have fun playing rough, tossing, tumbling, and all that stuff. But the dog shouldn't, unless it's really set up from breeding and from rearing and all that, playing rough with you is generally something that a dog does with its litter mates, its pack mates. It's not something it does with its quote unquote leader, alpha, parent, or whatever. So it depends on the role you want to define with your dog. I like to define a very structured role. So yeah, my dogs will play rough with me, but if I say knock it off, they just lie down and then it's over. So, oh, Donald, this shirt is coming out. I'm working with a new printer, new designs. This is the Goofy Zen brush. So yeah, it's definitely coming out. Okay, Grin Nick Yak. I think all you guys' names are funny. So if I mispronounce them, just let me have fun with it. How do you build confidence in a puppy that's naturally skittish, nervous, of loud noises, sudden movement, etc.? Thanks, Robert. So the way we want to build a relationship, a structure with the dog is through positive interaction. So the first thing you want to build the confidence with the dog in an environment that's void of the stimulus that is triggering the dog. So if you can get a solid relationship built with the dog in a non-threatening, non-stimulating environment, then you can work the dog into a situation where these stimulus are at a distance. You can control the stimulus. If you can control the stimulus, you can control the drive of the dog. That's going to be really key. So if you can kind of get them at a distance, but start off by getting the dog to be comfortable with you, be comfortable with the interaction with you, then to be confident, then to reintroduce the stimulus. Don't try to get the dog to be okay with the stimulus by just throwing him into it, because that's called flooding. Now, flooding works in some situations. It's something we have to use in some situations if it's life or death with the dog, to see where the dog is, but try to remove the stimulus, build the confidence, and then introduce the stimulus at a distance. I don't see any question marks. Okay, here's the next question mark. So if I skipped over your question, it's probably because you didn't have question marks in front. Please just follow. If you're listening to me, put a question mark before your question, like the one you see on screen now from Jad Saad. Then I can answer it. Otherwise, I don't know. Jad Saad says, what's your perspective on puppies having their tails or ears cropped, such as Dobermans, et cetera? Well, you know what? I now Germany is illegalizing it. So you'll see a lot of Rotties coming over from Germany that have tails and ears. I like tails and ears. I don't really like the crop thing. I mean, it looks good on some of the Corsos and some of them. For the most part, I'm not a big fan of it, right? I mean, I don't fault people who do it because it's a style. It's something they like. It's usually done at a tail cropping is done at, I think, a day or 2 or 3 old. If it's done later, it's really painful for the dog. It's extremely painful for the dog. But if it's done early on, there's really no pain, just like removing dew claws. I do think the tail helps the dog immensely in balance, in running. Like you'll always notice herding dogs, well, Aussies don't, but like Border Collies, Malinois, German Shepherds, they all have tails because they use that for balance, just like the dew claw. So if somebody wants to do it, it's okay, but if you're asking my personal opinion, the best looking Rottie I've ever seen in my life belonged to a friend of mine named Carl, and the dog just was gorgeous, and he had full ears, full tail. I've never seen a Rottie look so good. So, okay, Jessica, I already gave you a question. I'm going to have a hard time doing multiple questions today because there's going to be a lot of people, but I'm going to give you this one. My puppy's being aggressive towards me and my mom. Not allowing. Okay, I already gave you this answer. So try not to. Okay, Curry, try not to repeat your questions, please. Do you think the puppy biting should be corrected, or do they just grow out of it? Well, most of the time, dogs grow out of it. If people make too much out of it, put too much pressure on the dog either shuts down, becomes skittish, or becomes dominantly aggressive. So understand that this is one of the key issues, that puppies will be mouthy. Let me start and stop right here by saying puppies will be mouthy. They will put whatever is in front of them in their mouth. That's just the way it is. That's what puppies do. Babies will grab your face. Puppies will grab your face with their mouth. Babies will do it with their hands. Puppies will do it with their mouth. That's because babies don't have, puppies don't have the opposable thumb, so they can't do it as well. Understand that the less you make a big deal out of it, the more you can redirect the dog and have an easy time with it, the easier your dog will grow out of it. Puppies are generally not aggressive, and not they're not in it to hurt you. They're in it to play, to interact, and to get you to interact with them. Okay, Dobro says, we have 5-month-old puppy and noticed she's more play motivated than food motivated. We wonder what kind of approach of play would you recommend for recall? Well, the approach I use for a recall is with a toy, right? I tease the dog with a toy, then I run away from the dog, and I show the dog the toy, and I say, come, come, come. The dog comes, and we do that. That's a really, really easy way to do this. Okay, Josie says, Halsey, up and Seller Mountain Dog, is now 4.5 months old. When she starts to notify us to pee outside, she goes to the door but doesn't yap. Well, that's actually good because she's just standing there, right? So you need to, what you can maybe do is put a bell on the door if you want to do that. I don't. I either have a doggy door or I leave a door open. That's just the way I roll. I think it's a lot easier, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, you don't really want the dog to start learning to bark all the time because it'll become annoying. Jason says, how do you use the e-collar to stop counter-surfing other annoying behaviors? Well, that would be a video that I'll have to do at some point, but it's not really, it's not something I can just explain, right? You're blocking a behavior, but it's something you have to, we'll get into that. I'll do a video on that at some point. Tuvice, I think, or Touche 2010. Can you speak on how breeders should be responsible? And if the new owner decides they do not want the dog any longer, the breeder should be responsible and take the dog and puppy back. Well, just watched last week's interview with Tasha from Element Belgians. I don't need to talk about that. Just look at that. That'll give you all the answers you want. Edgar says, how can I start dog socializing my 17-week-old Dutch Shepherd puppy to other dogs? She's very well socialized. Okay, and I talked about this with somebody else, and maybe you tuned in later, but the way you would do that, Edgar, is you would find only very, very safe dogs. Do not, under any condition, introduce your dog to a dog you don't know. Do not introduce your dog to a dog that you're unsure of or one you know is not good with puppies, right? You need to make sure the dog is good with puppies. The dog must have a good experience with puppies in order for you to use it to socialize your dog. If you can't do that, don't introduce your dog to other dogs. Keep him in the vicinity of other dogs. Let good things happen, but he does not need to meet other dogs. Better a dog that has been in the presence of other dogs that hasn't met them, because that dog can still be neutral to other dogs and be around other dogs, than a dog who has played aggressively with other dogs, because that dog does not know how to play. Some people will go against me on that, but they're wrong. Igor says, how can I teach my puppy steadiness when I am? I don't know. How do you, steadiness when I don't understand that question. Yes, you can use a leash for a 3-month-old puppy, but you need to put a question mark. All these questions have this here. See this? This is a question mark. Put that in front of your question. I'll answer it. Otherwise, I can't get to it. How does an interaction with my 2-year-old German Shepherd go with a 3-month-old Labrador? I don't know. I mean, are you asking me how it comes out, or how do you do it? If you're asking me how you do it, you start by having the 3-month-old dog in a crate, the German Shepherd, the older dog, out, then switch them around, watch their interaction, take them on a walk together. Don't just let them play willy-nilly. The other thing you should find out is, how is your 2-year-old German Shepherd with other dogs? Has your German Shepherd met other dogs? That's going to be critical. That first experience is going to be everything. So if it's in a crate, they can't get to each other, they're protected, there are boundaries, you start to watch their interactions. I used to tell people it's going to take about 7 to 10 days, and you'll see that you put the crate there, the puppy goes in the crate, the other dog goes out, is free. You'll see within about 5 to 7 days, they'll just lay down next to each other. When they do that, then it's time to start the interaction, but not until then. Cheryl, big fan here. A 2-year-old hound mix that was startled by a herd of deer one night and has since been super aggressive with them since then. How can I stop this? Okay, so reintroducing dogs to a stimulus is going to involve having good obedience with the dog and trying to introduce that stimulus at a distance. Now, it's hard. A herd of deer is a very hard thing to replicate. But what you'll want to do is get the dog into an obedience type of environment where you can get the dog near them, like have a tug with you, have some treats with you, get the dog to focus. When the dog triggers on the other animal, the deer in this situation, correct the dog back to you, back to obedience, and reward abundantly. Reward abundantly for the proper behavior and correct for bad behavior. Simple as that. Okay, Alex says, or Alex, I think it is, with a puppy of 2 months, he needs to go potty every 2 hours. Do you wake him up if he sleeps or only when he wakes up? Well, I mean, I don't know. 2 hours is something I start early on. Like the first day, I give the dog a lot of chances to go out. Then I kind of let the dog notify me, but you've got to be aware. You can't sleep through it, right? You got to pay attention that when that puppy wakes up, immediately get the dog out. Like when you hear a little rustling in the cage, get the dog out. That's puppies, right? That's where the puppies are a little harder to deal with than a more mature dog. And this is why getting a puppy is a really important decision that you make. It's a conscious decision that you will, for the first 6 months to a year, be dealing with a puppy. It's like having a child. Coming from somebody who does not have a child, it is like having a child. You have to understand that you are going to be at this dog's beck and call when the dog needs to go out, when the dog needs to be fed, when the dog gets diarrhea, when the dog, is throwing up. You have to be there for it. You have to understand this is going to be the first year of the dog's life. Maybe 9 months if you're really good with it. It's a really good breeding, a really good dog, but you gotta do that. I'm really running way behind on these questions, but can you emphasize how hard it is to fix an older puppy over a year who wasn't raised right? It's impossible. It's very, very hard. I didn't raise my GSD, but a year later, not giving up, but she's made my life hell. I've raised canine prospects. Yeah. Maya, I didn't raise her since a puppy, and she's had a lot of issues, right? I got her when she was 3 years old. Lovely dog. I love Maya, to the end of the world. But she's a harder dog to deal with because when you have a puppy, you're able to shape things that you want the dog to do. When you get a dog, a lot of those things are already pre-shaped. So yeah, it's very, very, very hard. Milena says, how do you build confidence in a puppy who has been attacked by another dog? I already answered that one. Let's see. How do I manage my dog at home? He is 8 months, Dobie. He destroys everything. I don't want to crate him for a long time. Then you're never going to solve the problem. The dog must be crated. If the dog is destroying things, you must crate the dog to curb the desire to do that. The more you curb that desire, the more that desire will go away. But if you're not going to crate him, it ain't going to happen. Edward, Sase, how long to walk with my dog a day? Now, if it's a dog question, I can't answer it. If it's a puppy question, I can answer it. So, Edward, let me know how old this dog is. I can give you an answer. And it's going to really, really depend. I'll tell you what, I'll answer it this way. Puppies, you shouldn't walk more than 20 or so minutes at a time. Be real careful on running puppies on concrete and stuff like that. It's really going to be up to the dog. A young puppy is only going to walk for 5-10 minutes. That's it. As the puppy gets older, you can build up. But I'd probably try to keep it under a mile for sure, and make sure you're on grass, on easy territory, because the dog is going to take off and start running and playing, stuff like that, because it's a puppy. Okay, Igor says, how can I teach my 6-month-old Labrador puppy steadiness when I'm putting her collar on? When I go for it, she does not fight it, but she's all over the place. You just need to just be assertive and calm and just put it on. Don't overdo it, like showing the dog the collar and then showing the dog a treat. Just grab the dog, put the collar on. I'll tell you what I would do in the beginning is I would just use a little slip lead, which is what we did with Dwayne. Put a slip lead on, put the stopper down, and take off on your walk. You'll have a lot more fun with the dog, and that's it. I will make a Dwayne shirt, I promise. Well, that's the next on the agenda. Lydia, how would you go about getting a 9-month-old German Shepherd used to a vacuum? Thank you. Well, you're just gonna put the dog in a crate and then just vacuum. And just let the dog go. Now with Goofy, I didn't do that. I vacuumed with him out, so he's definitely crazy about the vacuum. He loves to play with it and stuff like that. He's not afraid of it, not going to do it, but he thinks it's a game. So I just tell him to lie down, or put him in a place, and then he's fine with it. But it's not as easy as if you put the dog in a crate, and depending on the prey drive of the dog, it's going to be harder and harder. Kevin, we have a 7-month-old German. He's reactive on leash with most dogs. We reinforce with play and treats when he walks by without reactivity. Should we be using corrections? Okay. Or a prong call. Yeah, you can use both. The thing you want to be careful about, and this happens sometimes, and I do advocate doing what you're saying, but if you are if you're reinforcing with play and treats, what you're doing is you're pulling prey drive into it. So the dog might still think that the prey drive is okay, which is probably why he's trying to be, attacking the other dogs or being assertive to the other dogs. What I would try to do is get calm behavior, and when he walks by the dogs, good, keep him very calm. Don't, quote unquote, release him like, yeah, good boy, and then give him a treat or a toy, because that, I think, is going to be part of what's going to make him still reactive. It's going to keep that prey drive in there. Edgar, I think I answered a question before. Can I start introducing a prong collar to a Dutch Shepherd puppy at what age? She's 17 weeks old. It's a little early at that, but in that 6-month window, I would probably start to do it. Rory, thanks again for great advice. Rory from the UK, German Shepherd pup, 6 months. We crate, train, and have a great relationship with our dog. Do you have any advice on corrections when she ignores certain commands? Well, I mean, just corrections. Right? I mean, you just need to correct the dog. Watch, this is one reason now in my member section, I'm doing so many join the lesson videos. It's not something I thought of doing in the beginning when I started the site. I wanted to be purely instructional oriented as far as me teaching you things, but so many people, I've gotten more positive feedback on join the lesson videos than any other videos I've ever posted. So in those sessions, in those videos, you actually attend a session with me, which people used to want to pay me a lot of money to come to my sessions with me, but I never did it because my clients, I was wanting to give them that privacy. So in the join the lesson videos, you can watch, you can see the corrections I give. They're loaded with corrections. Omid says, my 2-year-old dog lived in a country that dogs aren't welcome, so he had bad experience with people. And now we moved to France. He is still afraid of people and want to attack them. What can I do? You're going to need to, it's just going to need to give him positive experiences. You're going to need to get him out, structure. The dog must engage to you. The dog must look at you. The dog must pay attention to you. That's really critical. And when he does, he gets a reward. That's it. Corrections with reward is the simplest way to teach the dog. Good experiences. Don't let people pet him. Let the dog see that people don't present a threat. Keep the dog focused on you. Reward for that abundantly. Okay, greatest canine. Says 6-month-old Mally. Great with recall and distractions when I'm out with her alone, but when my older dog joins, walks, who has great recall too, pup becomes less reliable even though older dog listens. So that's really a good question, and it's something that's going to be totally normal to happen because the puppy is more interested in the older dog, and the puppy's play drive is coming out in a desire to engage with the other dog. So the puppy's focus is the older dog, not you. Even though your older dog knows to pay attention to you, the puppy won't know that as well. So she'll learn it, right? You just need to stay focused on it. Go over, correct the dog, bring her back, and put your other dog in it down and work it. It's a good thing to work together if you have a nice, reliable older dog. It'll really, really, really help you. This is the only question I'm going to answer without a question mark in front because it's Janet. And the answer is yes, we're going to get a puppy, I promise. Everybody else is asking about that. Okay, Ethan Chadwick says, are you a magician, Ethan? I'm wondering because you have the cards like that. I have a 7-month-old German Shepherd. My brother has a 9-month-old Golden Doodle. His Golden Doodle seems to react in fear to my German Shepherd, even though they used to get along fine. What's the best way to fix this? Supervise interactions. Get them together. Control the German Shepherd. Make sure the dog doesn't do anything overly dominant or that could be seen as rude by the other dog. Just keep the interaction going. Make the experiences positive and make them real short. The shorter you make them, the less stress the Golden Doodle will have, but also the more the Golden Doodle will want to get back in there and do it again. Question mark before the question gets your question answered. Jen says advice training for a woman who does not want to get a large breed dog. I know there are potential issues, but what about getting the dog as a puppy? Jen, are you the woman who doesn't, who does want to get a large breed dog? Okay, so advice for a woman. Okay, I misread that. I apologize. So you are a woman who wants to get a large breed dog. I know there are potential issues, but what about getting a puppy? Excellent question, right? What you're going to want to look at, Jen, is you're going to want to make a wise decision. Now, this is not a sexist issue because you're a woman or a man. It's an issue of logic, of basic strength, logic, right? Now, people say, oh, I'm a woman and I can handle a 90-pound dog, and I think that's fantastic, right? Women can do everything, almost everything men can do, and men can do almost everything women can do. But the issue you're going to run into here is your physical ability. So if you are physically super strong and you're mentally very strong, you're not going to have an issue, right? That's not an issue at all. You can do probably more than a man at that point. What I would suggest, if you want to have a good experience with a dog, get a dog that is biddable, right? Get a dog that wants to play, wants to train, wants to engage, wants to interact, wants to be with you. That's number one. As a puppy, get it from a good breeder. Do your research. Meet the parents of the dog. See what the issues have been. Has there been aggression issues? Has there been anything? And as a puppy, impose immense amount of structure. The Dwayne is a great dog, great breeding, great parents, great everything. Janet took the bull by the horns early on and used a balanced system of training. Now, she did clickers and treats and all that stuff, but she put a lot of work into getting the dog to understand that she will put her hands on the dog and she will correct him. And that was done in a fair and loving way, but it was done in a structured way. So Dwayne knows to listen. Okay, that was Jen. Diva Palm says, how do you choose the puppy that best fits you? That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. You have to see how you interact with the dog. You have to see, it's like, how do you find the best person that fits you? It's a feeling, and it's feeling. It's not something I can explain. You got to go by your gut on that one. Okay, Taj Isle says, how can I speed up the response time to commands my 9-month-old American Pit Bull Terrier puppy nose? Okay, the way to speed up the reaction time is to reward faster on completion of the command. So I tell my dog, sit. The minute his butt hits the floor, I go, yes, and I release. The faster I release, the faster the dog's going to do it. Also, don't spend a lot of time in the hold. In other words, if you say down and the dog is down and you kind of wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, it becomes boring for the dog. The in-between time in the beginning has to be very exciting. And then teaching the hold is something you're only going to do a few times. Use a tactile release. It'll teach the dog a much better interaction with you. Let's see. I'm looking for a question mark. Here's a question mark. Sarah. 5-month-old Aussie is doing well in place command, but it won't last for max 1 minute. How do I reinforce stay longer? So if you have a 5-month-old Aussie that's able to hold a stay command for 60 seconds, that is really doing well. You're right on target. Don't overthink it. You're doing great. Add duration a tiny bit at a time. So in other words, if you know you got 60 seconds, do 55 seconds once, twice, super exciting release. Then do 1 minute and 10 seconds or 1 minute and 5 seconds. Don't push the dog until the dog fails. That's going to be your common mistake, right? The most common mistake people make here is they will go and hold, and the dog breaks, and they go, oh, and then they put him back. Now the dog has failed, right? So if you know, and I keep everything either on my watch, on a timer or something, and I watch what kind of duration the dog has. If the dog has an immense amount of duration, then I can add to it. Now with puppies, I don't add much time. Puppies, I want them engaging at me. I want puppies looking at me. I want puppies playing with me, and that. I can add duration as the dog matures. So at 5 months old, I wouldn't really worry about that at all. Okay, Cooper says, I often hear the recommendation to limited puppy exercise, but my 4-month-old Siberian Husky is wild and so cannot. Well, you're going to need to limit the puppy's exercise, because if the dog was in a pack of other dogs or with a mom, they would limit the exercise, or the mom would limit the exercise. So if you can't control the dog, you got the wrong dog. Pony up here. I was going to say man up, but I don't know. Maybe it's a sexist term, right? You got to be in control. You must be in control of your dog. If you're not in control of your dog, you got a problem. You got to be in control of your dog. Christian, what's your opinion on feed your dog a raw meat or barf diet rather than feed your dog commercial dog food? Well, whatever you feed your dog should be your decision to give your dog the best possible food. Whether you home cook the food, whether you feed raw, or whether you feed a really high quality pet food, that's going to be up to you. I'm going to do more videos on food, on feeding, so stay tuned for that. Edward, you had one before, but I'm going to give you another one. My dog is a 5-month-old bull mastiff. And that's your question. And my answer to you is good. Kevin says, do you do phone consults? I only do phone consults for members, premium members of the site. So if you're interested in that, go over to robertcabral.com and join up there, and you can book that. Ricardo says, I have an 18-month-old pit bull that still has some. Now, an 18-month-old is not a puppy anymore, so I'm going to have to go over this question, right? Jakub says, what are the major differences in raising, training 2 puppies versus 1? It's a disaster. Raising 2 puppies is the hardest thing you're going to do. Please, please, people, one thing I'm telling you something. Do not get 2 puppies. Do not get 2 puppies. Get 1 puppy. Make sure that puppy is well trained before you bring another puppy. And Ricardo, I'm going to go back and answer this because I think it was kind of wrong of me to do that. So your dog has some issues with going to the bathroom in the house. How can I improve potty training? Put the dog in a crate, supervise the dog, give the dog structured breaks so the dog knows how to go in and out of the house, and you'll fix the problem. But please, only ask me questions about puppies. Okay, I wanted a high drive dog. I don't want something to be like a Malinois or a German Shepherd. You know of any 10 to 40 pound high drive dogs? Yeah, get a border collie. Okay, this doesn't have a question mark by it, but I'm gonna give it to you. Being generous. Last one I'm gonna do. Nikki, 4-month-old Rhodesian Ridgeback has so much energy. Is it okay to leave her outside on her own in a fence yard for a bit unsupervised? I'm gonna let you answer that yourself. Just use common sense, right? So much energy, you're going to leave the dog outside unsupervised. Blue-faced Melanie, is it okay to get a puppy fixed when they're 9 weeks old? And I'm going to say the same. It's going to sound really off, but would you take away a male or a female child's sex organs when they're 9 weeks old? Right? Simple as that. You're going to hear all the hype. I'll do a podcast on this at some point. All the hype about, oh, if you castrate your dog, if you neuter your dog, you're going to reduce the chance of testicular cancer. Of course you are, because there's no testicles, right? You're going to reduce the risk of ovarian cancer because there's no ovaries. The idea is that God made animals a certain way. Humans have screwed it up, right? So we let the dog run willy-nilly. It's knocking up dogs. They're getting pregnant. They're having puppies. They're ending up in shelters. They're ending up getting euthanized. That's not the fault of the dog being intact. That's the fault of the owner being a moron. So no, I would not neuter a 9-week-old puppy. Goofy's probably somewhere around here somewhere. I don't know. Oh, he's on the other side. You can't see him. He's over on that side. Thanks, Donald. Okay, shotgun the pit bull. 1-year-old pit bull. Can you please, guys, pay attention? This is a puppy thing. I can only answer puppy questions. I'm going to say puppies are up to 6 to 9 months old. That's where I got to stop it. Come to any other question. I will promise you. I will give you the answers. I promise you. I'm always here for Q&A. Always. I'm doing these weekly. But if it's for puppies, if it's a specific one, I can't do it. Jeremy says, 6-month-old German Shepherd being a bit too much protective with other dogs protecting our 4-year-old Spitz. How to correct react when we cross dogs and he's leash pulling and barking. After a while, he's calm. Well, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. So if he's getting calm after a while, keep repeating the behaviors that you're doing, the interaction that you're doing, because it's working into the right direction. And it'll start to get shorter. By the way, I don't care how many thumbs up or thumbs down there are, but for those of you who come here and you don't like my answers, here's the problem with it, right? It's my channel. I'm here to give you advice. You're coming for my advice. Now, if you don't like the advice, you can just leave. Like, just go to anybody's channel. There's tons of really crappy dog training channels on YouTube. But understand that you're asking me something. If you don't like what you hear me saying, more than likely there's a problem with you, right? You aren't the person getting the right answer. And if you're looking for the answer you want, just answer the question yourself, right? Don't come to me asking me to make you feel good and tell you what you're doing is right. If what you're doing is really stupid, if you're being an idiot, if you're being stupid with your dog, I'm going to tell you you're an idiot, right? I'm not here to make you happy. I'm not here to make you like me. I'm not here to be popular. I don't have 1 million followers on YouTube, and I don't care. I don't give a crap. What I'm here to do is to be honest, to give your dog the best life possible through the experiences that I've had. That's it. So if you don't like it, I mean, you can do your little thumbs down bullshit, but it's unnecessary. It's just stupid, right? It's just really stupid. It's petty. It's like, oh, I'm a crybaby. I'm a crybaby because I didn't get what I want. Right? That's what society has kind of devolved to, right? It's all people, oh, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to give you a thumbs down, or I'm going to block you, I'm going to report you. Well, you're a coward. You're a chicken. You're a BS artist, right? Life is about taking challenges and listening to somebody who says something that you don't want to hear, and then figuring out why you don't want to hear it. And that's it. Keep your thumbs down going. I think it's great. I mean, thumbs down, it's still an interaction. The video still gets more views, so you're just helping the video. I think it's great. Okay. Haley, my 6-month-old puppy jumps up and bites. He pulls my clothes, tug of war. He breaks skin. Tried to bite my hand when trying to pull him off. What to do when it's happened to stop from happening? Well, first of all, you need to figure out if you've got a puppy. I'm going to answer the question with a question. What if you had a baby and the baby kept grabbing your face and grabbing your face and grabbing your face and you had all these scratches on you? What would you do? You'd keep the baby away from your face. You'd clip the baby's toenails, right? Fingernails. You would be calm with the baby. You wouldn't yell at the baby, hit the baby, or anything like that. That's what you got to do with your dog. Your dog will follow the lead that you set. So you're calm, your dog will be calm. You're not calm, your dog won't be calm. If your dog gets excited and you get excited, your dog will continue to be excited. You are responsible for the behavior of your dog, for the interaction with your dog. It's not easy, right? It's not easy, as evidenced by people who come in here and go, oh, I don't really like that. I don't really like what he's talking about. Well, that's I don't care. If you want my advice, I'll solve your problem. I've solved hundreds of clients, viewers, thousands of people's issues. If you're willing to listen, if you're willing to put your ego aside and listen to what I'm telling you, you will have a dynamic relationship with your dog. If you're not willing to do that, you're spinning your wheels. Go on social media and complain about politics or something, right? Go do something where there are other people like you who don't want to hear the truth. Okay. Dobro. When we train outside, she sometimes loses attention when she sees another dog. What to do when toy food doesn't work? For now, we just went back inside immediately. Okay, that's okay to do, but you need to work the dog past that. So at 5 months old, you can give the dog a little correction, like, hey, pay attention to me, and then reward that. If you're not going to introduce corrections into the dog's vocabulary, the dog's never going to figure out what's right or what's wrong. You can grab the dog by the scruff of the neck and go, hey, pay attention. You need to make sure that you're in control, right? You must control your puppy or you will never control your dog. Okay, I'm going to answer this question, Sari, because it's serious. You have a 15-month-old rescue large greyhound that is lovely nature dog, but mouths everything and pulls. So your dog was never socialized properly, but yes, do the exact same thing as you would do with a puppy. Nikki. We have a 4-month-old Rhodesian Ridgeback with a ton of energy. Is it okay to leave her out? Okay, you already asked me that question. Is Origin puppy food better than Royal Canin for German Shepherds? Currently on Royal Canin. Origin Champion Pet Foods is a good kibble if you're going to feed a kibble. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see. Okay. 4-month-old Labradoodle has zoomies even after working out. Should I stop that behavior? Is it energy? It's just energy he has to get out. That's it. Edward, you know what? You're getting a lot of extra questions here today. How long to walk my 5-month-old Bull Mastiff? Less than a mile. Okay, Bernard, thank you. That's a very kind thing to say. This is just a comment here, no question, but very nice. Zambia, your work has been of help. Keep up your hard work. And thank you for that, and thank you for taking my work seriously. It's much, much, much appreciated. I don't know, Kikini, if you listened to the answer to that question, but I already did answer that. Divine Grace. Will my 10-month-old Staffy Boxer puppy always charge at other dogs off leash? He's super friendly and is at a good training center. Well, if he's not at a good training standard if he's charging at other dogs. Here's the problem with this. When a dog charges at other dogs, you don't know the dog he's charging at. So if that dog is not friendly or that dog is insecure, you're going to have a fight on your hands. So I would teach my dog not to do that. Your dog is not to approach other dogs without your permission or without your guidance. That's it. Michael, my German Shepherd pup, is too focused on his adult German Shepherd mixed brother when we go for walks. He pulls forward a lot too. I feel I'm constantly correcting. What can I do to make our walks more enjoyable? Well, first of all, make sure you walk him without the other dog, right? And teach him a position where you want him to be, and then get your other dog to hold that position next to you, and they'll walk together. But walking two dogs together is always going to be more pandemonium than it's really worth a lot of times. Nilu says, my 20-month-old, now 20 months, is not a puppy anymore. Wants to smell everyone. Do I need anything about it? Yeah, I would not let him do it. Thank you for that, Viking. You're welcome, Anjara. And a lot of people should understand that I'm here to provide a service. And when this is live, there's no commercial interruptions, right? When this goes, if you're listening to this afterwards, then there will be ads here because that's how we pay the rent. We got to have ads. And thank you for your compliments. I'm seeing all your questions here, or your compliments here. Yes, the world is full of crybabies, right? Everybody wants their way. Everybody wants it their way. And, I got this dog and he didn't work out, so I'm going to get rid of him because I'm too stupid to handle the dog. I don't know what to do. This is really evolved. I'll tell you, when I was teaching karate, I remember, I told the story 1,000 times. This mother came in and said, Jimmy's going to get his black belt today, or his green belt today. And I said, no, Jimmy's testing for his green belt. And she goes, well, he doesn't fail. Nobody fails. That's where I saw the end of civilization. I really saw just the world just becoming this nutty place. Like, if their kids can't succeed, then the world is over. But I'll tell you, the greatest lessons in life are learned through failure. The greatest lessons in life are learned through failure, as is with your puppy, right? Your puppy will learn more from failure than from success. Because once you weed out what you shouldn't do, there's only a few things that you shouldn't do. Most things you should do. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was in a rock band called Papa Roach, and we were talking about singing, and he said there's less places where you shouldn't sing in the vocal range, in the scales, than where you should. So if you learn where not to sing, then you can learn where to sing. If your puppy learns what not to do, then he can learn what to do, right? So, by the way, what'd be really fun is the people who have the secret courage to put the thumbs down, if they actually said something, but they never do. They're always keyboard quarterbacks, right? Monday morning quarterback. He should have passed the ball. Like, that guy, I can't believe he got tackled. But they're morons, right? In other words, those people can't play football. The people playing football, these are professional athletes, and I see some fat white guy with a beer sucking it down, going, he should have avoided the tackle. And I think, you couldn't even get off your chair and walk to your car without being out of breath, and you're telling a super athlete how to perform in a game. It just cracks me up. Anyway, all right, here, Shotgun the Pit Bull. I own a kennel and so have many babies, but currently we adopted a Siberian Husky. He's 8 months old, but he looks sad. Here, he is less active, all medical tests done, no problem, what to do? What could happen is the dog might not have a job to do, right? The dog, because you have a kennel and there's a lot of other dogs, two things I would do. One is give the dog a job to do, give the dog something to do proactively, a job, whatever it is. Maybe get the dog more exercise. More exercise will also stimulate. I've got a treadmill because we've got 4 dogs. So the dogs will go on the treadmill. They get a lot of exercise to do. That's one thing. And the other thing is, see if you can introduce him to a friend. Maybe he needs a friend. Huskies usually are dogs that are in packs because that's the way that they run. So let me know if that helps. Gabriel says, German Shepherd didn't raise. Now again, if it's not a puppy, I don't want to get into it. Let's see. This is great advice, Jindo Man. Thank you. Yes. puppies are 6 to 9 months old. Well, puppies can be 3 to 4 months old too, but I'm kind of capping it here at 9 months old. Okay, this is the funniest one, Isaac. That's exactly right, my 60-month-old puppy. At which point do we stop saying that they're a year old now, right? At 12 months, don't we just say it's a year? Do we keep saying 18 months, 24 months, 62? I mean, I don't understand that. That's a very, very funny comment. I will start doing training workshops. I promise that. I will do that. This is a very good question. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking for questions. Here we go. Lisa says, 6-month-old chocolate lab who will just randomly start biting and tugging the leash. Any tips on how to stop the behavior so she doesn't think it's a game? Well, the minute you tug back on the leash, she's going to think it's a game. So what I would do, if you can, use 2 leashes, right? And when she does that, correct her on the other leash. Hey, knock it off. Don't overdo the correction because the dog is just trying to interact with you. Good. Well, I think it's good. So remember, there doesn't need to be a question. You can just sit and listen and really gain a lot out of the questions other people ask, because you guys really, really have some great questions here. Really, really great question. Confidence building exercises for puppies is anything I teach the dog to do. I can teach the dog a down, a roll over, a recall, a high five, anything, a look command. Anything the dog does that he gets rewarded for is confidence building. But excellent, excellent question. Okay. Erica, is board and train recommended, or is it better to work with a trainer? In my opinion, it depends. If you're able to really commit and do the training, it's much, much better for you to train the dog, right? Because the dog will know that you're in charge, that you're in control, that you have the authority to make the dog do the things that you expect the dog to do. That is the better option. Now, if you don't have the time or anything like that, you can send the dog away to a really fair trainer. You're going to need to do your research because you don't want to send the dog away to somebody where the dog is locked in a crate for 23 hours a day and gets out for 3 times to go do training. Do your research. But yeah, if you can do it yourself, yeah. So this is funny. Milane and all you other people who have been talking about the thumbs down. Ricky Gervais had the funniest thing. I'll tell you this because I thought it was so funny. The people who do thumbs down, like the people who go on your social media page. Janet posted something really cool on Facebook the other day, admiring somebody, and somebody goes on and goes, well, I don't admire them. But we didn't ask your question. We didn't ask you, right? If I say I admire somebody, whoever that would be, and then you go, well, I don't, but I didn't ask for your opinion, right? This is the funniest thing about social media. It's taking this form where people are so needy of attention, so dysfunctional of attention that they need some kind of an interaction. Even so, they'll jump onto my page and disagree with something I said. So Ricky Gervais said it's the equivalent of somebody putting a sign up that says guitar lessons, you know, and then the phone number, and then somebody calls up the phone number and says, I don't want guitar lessons. That is exactly what social media is, exactly, that people can't just, you know, let things be. Like, I look at plenty of things on social media. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of friends or people I follow. But I'll scroll through and see things. And if I don't agree, a lot of my friends I don't agree with, but I would never say to them on their social media posts, I don't agree with you. What kind of a loser does that? Arvid, you're asking, what age can a puppy start agility? English Staffy, 8 months, 30 pounds. That's a really good time, I would think, to start that. Yeah. Diva Palm, when raising a litter of sport puppies where the new owners will be using tug play, is it okay to let the mother dog teach the puppies? Yeah, of course. It's absolutely fine. Oh, wow. Look at this. Smitty, $50 super chat. I don't know. This might be one of the biggest super chats we've had. Okay. Smitty says, thanks to your videos over the years, I've transformed my rescue into a very obedient dog. We are now members of your site, have an 11-week-old Australian cattle dog. The videos on the site have really accelerated his learning. Our understanding. Well, that is very, very kind of you to do the super chat. One, that's very, very kind of you and highly unnecessary because you're a member, but thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. But your words touch my heart, Smitty. I think that's very, very good. And those of you who are not members of my site, please do understand that the site has a lot of great tools. So if you like the videos on YouTube, you're going to love the videos on my site because they're longer and they're more detailed. Okay, Jad says, so thank you again, Smitty. That was really kind of you. Thank you for that super chat too. Do you demonstrate leadership differently towards a puppy than a dog? What about a more assertive personality versus passive? Well, no. I mean, if I start the relationship with a puppy, it goes the exact same way all the way through. All right, Curry Muncher. I know you're in South Africa. You said, I believe you said that. You're 11 and you love videos and be a decoy and dog trainer. Well, that is really fantastic, and I'm proud and I'm humbled at the same time that you've chosen me to follow. So I hope I lead by a good example. I hope you will be a good, strong person and continue to grow and be honest with yourself and be honest with the dogs and look for the benefit of the dog. That's really, I'm going to close on this one because this is just a super thing to hear from a young man on, or I hope you're, I don't know if you, maybe Curry, I think it's a boy, that you're looking to emulate something you see. Now, I don't have kids. Janet has a daughter who's, I guess, a stepdaughter to me, but nobody's going to follow in my footsteps. So I'm really touched by that. I'm humbled by that, and I want to end the chat on that, Curry. And thank you for watching me, and thank you for choosing to emulate me, because it does mean a lot to me, and it really, really, really does humble me. So if I didn't get to your questions today, I'm terribly sorry. But there's always going to be more chats. There's always going to be more chats. Okay, Curry, you're a boy. Thank you. And I didn't mean any insult by that. But sometimes foreign names I don't know, and I don't want to make any assumptions. So I thank you for that. So those of you, that's a really great thing. If you can do something. When I did martial arts, I had a student, Javier, who trained with me, and I saw him 15 years later, and he's now like a public accountant or some great job. I just think it's fantastic to motivate people and to inspire people, and it humbles me. So anyway, thanks for being here. Check out robertcabral.com for all the best dog training, lessons, guides, and everything. There's always more videos coming. I'll get a video up here tomorrow on YouTube. I haven't put one up today because I knew I had this coming up, so I thought this would be today's video. So thanks for being here, guys. God bless you all, and stay positive in these crazy times. Just stay positive, stay focused, and don't let the haters get you down. I'll see you later.